Unit 6.3. Let's take a quick look at 6.2 where we left off. We did create these bank accounts. We use a loop. We created each bank account using the data above, all statically referenced in a static method, and then we populated the array and we returned it. We use random number generator with a nice review here to generate some random data from the static arrays, and then we printed them. Now in 6.3, what we want to do is we want to look at the loop called a enhanced for loop, which is also called a for each loop. Enhanced for loop is also called a for each loop. But before we start writing anything with this for each loop, we want to show some limitation. Okay, and the limitations for the for each loop are these, but this is some of them. For each loops are not appropriate when you need to mutate or change an array. So you have an array and you want to make some changes in the array. It's not nice to use that. Instead, use I. Okay, use I. I'll show you how a for each loop looks in a moment. For each loops do not keep track of an index, right? We don't know what position this particular data is in. Is it at position 0, 6, 10? Don't know. Use I if that's what you need. For each only iterates forward over and away. So if you want to go backwards, if you want to go from the middle to the outside, or however, this goes from 0 to the end. It doesn't go in any weird pattern or anything like that. It doesn't skip things and all that stuff. So if you're going to do that, use I. So what's this for each loop? For each loop is a quick way to iterate over an array. It processes every single array element and it doesn't go out of bounds. Well, here comes this topic of out of bounds. We'll look at this in the next unit, but out of bounds is simply when this I, if you're using I, is a number that's not in a current index. Okay, if this account does not have this particular index, but it's a negative number or a number that's too big, it goes out of bounds and it crashes with an array index out of bounds exception. So for each does not have that because there is no index to go out of bounds. It's just processing every single one. So every one it sees, it just processes them and it goes from left to right. Now what I'm going to do then is I want to write a for each loop. And I want to do two things. I want to write a for each loop here to show you how it looks writing a for each loop. And then I'm going to write another for each loop in this guy. So this guy here is going to do something very similar to this, except it's going to take in the city. So it's only going to print all the information each bank account using the toString from city. Okay, so this is not well worded here, but from city simply means we're going to use the toString for the bank account. Let me just put it, let's put it over here. Each bank account from this city. So once we put in the string city, it says print all the bank accounts from Somerset or any one of the cities that we have on top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and write this using a for each loop. I'm not going to change what I have there. I'm just going to write a new one. So for, so now I'm going to say for each bank account, okay, because the type goes there, and then you give the name of the variable. And then you say a colon, and then you give what you're processing over. This is a for each loop. So let's look at the pieces here. The type goes here. So if this was int, it would be int here. If this was doubles, it would be double. If this was boolean, whatever it is, the type goes here. The name of the variable, because once you get the data from the array, it's going to store it in this. The array goes here, colon. And that colon means in. So you read it like this. For each bank account, account, in accounts, do this. So I'm going to go ahead and print. So I'm going to copy this. Well, I'm leaving my curly braces here even though I don't need them. And I'm going to print the account itself plus a \n. So I did the same thing like I did up here. So let's run that and let's see it twice. Okay. So you could see here, let's start off. It starts off with this account number here, and it starts off with 122. So we got to look for that number 122 just to see it starts over again. See it right here. And this is the same account here, and it did it twice. So this is just for you to see how a for each loop looks. I'm going to remove these braces here because we don't need these curly braces. I'm going to put back my thing here. So this is the indexed loop, and this one is the for each loop. Okay, so we got two of them. Now I'm going to do the same thing down here, right? But this time I'm going to only look to see if it's in this city. So I'm going to write the for each loop, copy this, actually copy the whole thing actually, and let's put back some curly braces in because we got to make a decision now. We got to write an if statement that says only print this if it's in this city. So let's see how we could check this out then. So how are we going to check to see if the person lives in this particular city? Well, I'm going to say if the account dot get address, remember, dot contains the city, then print it. Now, one thing could go here is that if the person types in the city as lowercase or uppercase, or something that's not there, it could run into some trouble. I know that, but I'm gonna go ahead and say, well, how about I make that a precondition, that the city is written in the correct form. Let's write that as a precondition so we don't have to worry about that. City is written in the correct form. Starts, put a period here, starts with an uppercase letter followed by lowercase letters as appropriate. All right, so that's how we gonna look at this thing here, and we could now call this method and see how it runs, because this whole idea here about the city, that we don't have to worry about lowercase, uppercase. It's just going to be the right way. So we don't have to worry about that. That could also be on the AP exam where they say, don't worry about that. Don't worry about ignoring case or go to uppercase or to lowercase. Although you could say that's not the case and you have to use to lowercase and to uppercase. Doesn't matter though. The point is, right now, we're going to run this using the static call. So again, this time, I'm going to do a print, but this time I want the one with the city. So I'm going to put in the city as Somerset. Why? Because the majority of my addresses have Somerset. Okay, so I'm bound to catch one. So I'm going to go ahead and run this now and see how this looks. Okay, so it's all the way at the very end. Everything should be a Somerset. Somerset, Somerset, Somerset. Yes, so everybody down here is Somerset. Now, one thing we could do here is to make sure we see that this actually prints only where Somerset is. To put another print here. And I'm going to go ahead and put like some stars or something so we can get a good space between the bank accounts that were created versus the ones that are in Somerset. So once we see that little line, we know those are the Somerset guys. So let's see if we find Somerset guys. Right here. Right here, everything beneath here should be Somerset, and it is. We have all the Somersets. Okay, so that's another way to write a loop. It's called a for each loop or an enhanced for loop, all you got to do again, recapping, the type, give the variable a name, in colon, the array, and then you go ahead and do whatever you want here except the limitations. Okay, don't want to change up the array, don't want to try to do some indexing. See, I can't tell you where these things are. I don't know which guy is at position 0 because it's just going to process each one. That's the reason why we can't change it, because since it's going to process each one, we can't try to take something out or change. The guys are going to keep going down, and it's going to get a little dicey there. So this is actually for simplicity of just going through the entire list from the start to the end, straight across linearly, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to n minus 1, and n being the length, and process them. No need to worry. If that's not what you want to do, simply use use the index loop instead. Okay, only when you have an easy traversal to just go right to, you go to the for each loop, but otherwise you use the index loop. There we have it, 2 ways to do this. This brings us to the end of 6.3.